Oh, welcome back to my WoT Tanks. Brief review of the vehicles that I have played so far, from my point of view, at least, of a casual to noob level entry player, I guess. I'm not going into stats and whatnot. I've already stated this in my other videos. You can go back and watch and listen to what I have to say, but obviously, with my derpiness, I totally forgot to mention this Tier 6 tank. This is the Jagdpanzer 4. Now, I have a conflict here with this vehicle. I absolutely hate how Wargaming has implemented this tank destroyer into the game. Yet, I know from uh, researching the vehicle further on through history that it was not a bad vehicle at all. But Wargaming has deliberately made it bad. And it all comes down to one key thing, and that is the gun selection. Awful. You think, oh, that's the 88. That's the 88 that's on the Tiger and whatnot. Kind of, but it's modified. It's a pack L56 88. And this thing is just awful. You are stuck with that gun. You are stuck between either this pack 42 or the pack L 5688, 7.5 or 8.58, I should say. What is it? You just pick your poison. One does less damage, but has less penetration. Just look at here? Average penetration on the 88, 145, 145, 75, 150. What is going on here? Shouldn't it be the higher tier gun be getting the better penetration and damage rounds? Huh. Why would they do that? No one knows. It's Wargaming. I don't think they know what they do half the times either. Anyway, then we look at average damage. 220. This is not bad. Not bad at all, but the problem is getting through the target. I mean, remember, you are now tier 6. That means you're seeing tier 8s. And 220, really, I say it's not bad for fighting your own tier and maybe tier 7, but you are not, no way, it's not good enough. It's just not cutting the bread. And it just, one gun, the higher tier gun does more damage, less penetration. The gun underneath it has less damage, better penetration. You're stuck, and this is where the game is busted, in my opinion. Fix the guns, Wargaming. This tank destroyer has the potential to be good. It's going on the lines of the Hetzer again. As you see the angle? The angle is there. It's got another steep angle down here. This is could have, in my opinion, could have been angled a little bit better, but hey, it is what it is. The gun definitely needs to be fixed. It needs the better penetration. It needs more damage. You're talking about fairness in the game. You're not doing historically accurate stuff, obviously. But come on, Wargaming. You have these guns, and these guns are awful. And if you have look, a tank destroyer is as good as its gun. That's what it's there for. It's about the gun. The gun, the gun, the gun. The Death Toaster has no problems killing this thing. It outshoots the value, I would say, than it's 88. This has. In a sense, the Death Toaster is better than this. The Stug, in a sense, is better than this. I know I'm pushing it. We're pushing the Stug in there, the Stug 3G, but in a sense. Now, what this thing does have for it is the slanting and sloping of the armor. Very nice, very sleek. Shells bouncing here and there. Yes, I could see it. I honestly could see this bouncing shots, and have bounced plenty of good shots coming into me. Um, but the other thing this thing has going for it is a really good speed at 40. This guy can zip around pretty quick. Bad reverse, by the way. If you're spotted, you're pretty much screwed because you can't back up to save your life. Since this is a Panzer IV chassis, you can zip around pretty damn quick. And I like the little bit of Scherzen they have on the side here as well. But you're spotted, you're screwed. You can zip around the battlefield from bush to bush to bush. And this is the other key aspect of this vehicle that is amazing. It's the concealment, the camo rating this thing has. And if you have a crew that is trained all up on camo at 100% and a camo net on this thing is absolutely a sneaky little bastard. It really is. I did not have my crew halfway trained on their first skill before I took them and dumped them in my Panzer 4D. I know it's a big drop and whatnot because I was just sick and tired of the horrible matchmaking and little damage this thing did. I said I'm going to get rid of it. I'm going to go back and buy my Panzer 4D, which I did, and put the crew in there. Anyway, this thing, it is sneaky. It is small. It is fast. But it needs those things desperately. It has okay armor. You're not going to be saved by it all the time. Don't rely on it. Relying on it is a mistake. And you're playing it wrong if tanks are this close and you're trying to bounce shot, you're pretty much dead. And that's the truth. I will mention one game I had in this thing that is absolutely necessary to mention about this. I had not the 88 loaded because I want to actually pen something. It's about penetration more than the damage. Prime example of this is a derp gun on the Panzer 4H. Low penetration, high damage, but what's the point of high damage if you can't penetrate your target? See what I'm talking about? Penetration, I think, is where it's at. Unless, of course, you're hitting with such a giant magnitude of a shell that penetration is pretty much weighed out altogether just for the sheer damage. This is how artillery works, by the way, from what I understand. Anyway, I'm going on a rant here. I had this gun right here selected, and I was going against, I want to say it was a KV-3, and I wrecked the shit out of this tank, but it wasn't good enough. I literally placed 4 shots, maximum, what is it, 132 or something like that? I want to say it's 132, 135. I was whipping out 135, and I remember seeing a 132 damage into the side of this tank while sitting in a bush almost right on top of this tank, and the KV-3 did not see me, not once. I had no idea I was even there. And this is with a crew that's 50% trained on camo, and with a camo net. I sat there, I blasted, and I blasted, and I blasted, and I blasted 4 shots into this guy. He caught fire, and I just sat there, kept the guy tracked, kept shooting the track. Artillery didn't raise one goddamn finger to help me. Didn't turn around and say, maybe I should have hit the tank. No, artillery just sat there and did nothing to help. I kept shooting, tracking, damaging. Guy caught fire. 600 hit points lost to fire on top of the 4 shots I gave this guy already with this gun. And the son of a bitch was still kicking. It was literally like a zombie movie. Getting this thing getting chopped up to pieces, and it's still there. I'm sitting there, and I keep shooting, and eventually RNG said, enough's that. Enough of that. Stepped in. The shot fell short. His track repaired at the wrong time. He backed up. I said, alright, I'll just angle my tank and shoot him in the engine. Turned around, fired, shot the engine, missed it. The shot just skimmed right over the top. I'm like, oh, terrific. This gave the guy enough time to turn around, fire one shot into me, and I was dead. That's a prime example. One shot, dead. KV3. All the work I put into killing that guy didn't pay off. It just did not pay off. That was the time I said, to hell with this tank. Wargaming, you want me to buy this tank again? You're gonna have to fix the damn the gun. It's just not good enough, and that's the problem. You're a tank destroyer. That's what your key point is, to destroy tanks and mangle tanks. And Jagdpanzer IV, I hate to say it, I know what this vehicle is capable of history-wise, and in World of Tanks, it's not worth it. Everyone knows how shitty this thing is, and that's sad. The tank has the potential to be a badass. It does. It looks sleek. It looks cool. It's got sloped armor. It needs an increase in its gun damage or penetration or something, or limit to what tiers it can see, because I don't know, one tier above is still too much for this thing. It's got to have a buff to the gun. It just needs it. Anyway, that said, what equipment when I put on this, hands down, Binox and Camo Net. That is top of the line right there. You don't want anything else if you plan on keeping or playing this tank for long. You need those. Vents, if it's possible, throw them in there. Gun laying drive, yeah. Gun ramming, yeah. Like I said, you have many options. A lot of the stuff that's in the garage. Here, I'll head right into the garage right now and show you. A lot of the equipment you could just do without. And coated optics you could use. Binox, the most ones I find that can be used are vents. Yes, a toolbox can be helpful on a heavy tank. Large caliber gun ram or a gun rammer, absolutely. A spall liner. Well, that's interesting. It's mostly for artillery shots and for ramming explosions and stuff like that, like HEs and whatnot. But the weight of it usually bogs down the tank and your mobility takes a hit. I really don't see the point of a spall liner on any tank. Maybe the TOG, because it's so slow as it is already. The TOG would benefit from something like that. Maybe the Mouse. Filled tanks with CO2. Waste of time. Enhanced torsion bar suspension. That's mostly for light tanks that like to fly around the map real quick and they hit a bump or a little cliff and they want to go down and they don't want to damage their tracks. This will help add to your suspension health. That's all it pretty much is. It's hit or miss. It depends on your play style. Gun laying drive, yes. Coated optics, if you're a light tank and driving around, absolutely. Binox, a must. Camouflage net, a must. I really don't know what else to say at this point. I've covered all the tanks that I have played so far of the German line. I didn't go into much details. I am most likely thinking about going into the other nations, which I have started, and go from there. I mean, I started some of the American line. It's going to be a relatively short video, or so-so. Russians, I haven't touched at all on this account at all. My first one, I have. The British, I'm covered a good chunk. French, got there. None of the Czechoslovakian, the Japanese, some Chinese, not on this account. Anyway, all this aside, I will most likely make a video of these. But until then, I hoped you found some of this information entertaining at least. I hope you have a wonderful time playing your game and RNG smiles upon you. See you later.